My wife and I had just spent 76 days in the Philippines. We're at the soccer fields, and there's a couple of little league soccer games going on today. We done slept basically the entire flight. Certain things that they won't accept in American currency. Okay, thank you everyone, and welcome back to our channel. My name is Jonathan.
I am Galen.
And if you hear a little noise in the background, we're at the soccer fields, and there's a couple of little league soccer games going on today. But we wanted to come today and give you our tips. My wife and I had just spent 76 days in the Philippines, and there's some travel tips we wanted to share with you. Our experiences. We weren't quite sure if we wanted to make these videos while in the Philippines, but we finally came to the decision of waiting until we get back so that we can have the whole thing for you from beginning to end. Before we get started, anything that you wanted to say about our trip that we just spent in the Philippines?
It was remarkable. It's like we need more time to stay in the Philippines. I miss it. We're definitely gonna go back.
Okay, let's get to the tips we have for you, because these are very important tips. The first tip I'm gonna have if you're going to be traveling to the Philippines, basically is to take medication with you, because it's not like it is here in America, where you can find sinus medicine, cough medicine, any type of medicine you may need at a gas station, any type of convenience store. You actually have to go into the pharmacy and ask for a certain type of medication, and then it's not like in America where you may receive a whole bottle. They will give you a couple of pills. So as we took that trip to the Philippines and on the way back, once you left America airports and you got into the Philippines, if you had a little sinus allergy coming on or anything of that nature, you could not find any of that type of medication in the airports in the Philippines or at any of the gas stations. You had to wait till you was able to get to a pharmacy. Plus, when you have a cold, you really need to get that medicine, or just an allergy, you need to get that medicine into you soon as possible. Gala, what type of tip do you have that you would like to share?
When you go to the Philippines, you have to make sure that you have a mask. You wear mask and you have face shield. Like when we go to the Philippines, we brought a box of mask, a box of face shield also. Because when you go to the city, especially when you go to some establishments, they won't let you inside. Even if you said that you're just gonna use their bathroom, no, they won't let you in.
Important thing about why you need to remember that you need to bring multiple masks, and you're going to have a face shield, because in the Philippines it's different than in America. When you go into any store, the bank, the malls, any of the stores, before you're allowed to go in, there's going to be a guard or someone at the door taking your temperature, scanning your temperature, forehead or on your arm, making sure you have a mask and a face shield on. Now, if you don't have a face shield, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be someone standing outside that door, especially at the malls, selling face shields for like 20 pesos each. So that's why it's important. You want to bring multiple masks, because as you travel around in the Philippines, you have to have masks. There are checkpoints in the Philippines to make sure that you're wearing your mask. It's not like here in America where you go out and there's nobody in the stores checking to see if you have any of this. In the Philippines, you must have a mask on and a face shield before you allowed into a lot of establishment.
And next, you have to search on a government site. What are the requirements to be able to enter to, like when you were transferring from one provinces to another, you have to get a travel authority. Although when you go to the Philippines after your quarantine, swab test, the airport, they will send that travel authority with your swab test. In every municipality in the Philippines, they have different rules, so you have to make sure that you search their requirements on how to travel. Just like, for example, when we go to Cagayan City police office, you have to get your travel authority there, barangay certificate, health certificate, and then it won't really take long. So you have, after that, those are the things that we brought to Cagayan. And then I have this code, like you have to download it through your phone. You have to sign it through your phone, and you have to save it on your phone. Make sure you save it. So every municipality that you pass, you have to show it to them if they ask it. And then, but when we got to Cagayan, they really didn't search our ask our code. We just ask our travel authority. So you have to make sure that you have that, because in all municipality in the Philippines, they really have their own requirements on how to travel, how to enter that municipality or that provinces. Okay. You have to take pictures on all your paperwork. You don't need to carry all your papers, and just in case you lost it, you have your copy on your phone.
For example, when you're traveling in the Philippines, when you get there and you're in a quarantine, you have to quarantine at a quarantine facility. Okay, it's not like in America. We got off the plane, we went wherever we wanted to go. There, the airport gonna make sure you go straight to a quarantine facility for a certain amount of days. I can't tell you exactly how many days because they're gonna determine that, and it's always changing. You take a COVID test. Once you get a negative COVID test, you're going to get what's called a COVID shield. That's going to give you authority to be able to move around in that area. You take a picture of the COVID shield paperwork, put it on your phone, because there's going to be people that's actually going to be asking you for that COVID shield paperwork. But not only that, when you go into and out of these stores, you're going to have a code, like a little Q code. Some people have them cards that's in the Philippines. Yours is going to be on the phone because you're going to have to register and put that on your phone. So as you go in and out of these stores, kind of like as we spoke before, you got to have your mask. Someone's going to take your temperature. You got to have your face shield. They're also going to be scanning your phone for that Q code for the contact tracing. You can carry around a big 8x10 paperwork, or you can put it on your phone. That's why it's important for you to put all your important documents that give you permission to travel around in the Philippines on your phone.
You have to make a copy. Just like I took pictures on my phone to make sure that you have your the copy of all your paperwork. Have our travel itinerary, swab test, all the papers that needable to the Philippines.
Now, I'm going to give you an important tip. That was just an important tip for me after traveling overseas multiple times. Now, I used to be, when I was in the military, I was also stationed in Korea, so I traveled back and forth to Korea multiple times also. The travel tip I'm going to have for you on this one is, I went to the Philippines basically taking that 12, 14 hour long flight at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I took that long 12, 14 hour flight at 10 o'clock p.m. To make the trip less stressful and to make it a smoother trip, I would recommend taking the 10 p.m. flight to the Philippines. Here's why. If you take the 10 o'clock in the morning, you've been asleep all night. When you get on that plane, 12, 14 hour flight, everybody's up because the sun's up, everybody's full awake, no one's sleeping. But if you take the 10 p.m. flight, you've been up all day. By the time you pass security, you get security checkpoints, you get on that plane, you're already ready to go to sleep. The first thing they're going to do It provides you with your dinner. After your dinner, basically they're gonna turn off the lights, and then everyone start waking up about 4 to 3 hours before the plane is getting ready to land, and they feed you about 2 hours before the plane land. They'll feed you the breakfast for in the morning. But you done slept basically the entire flight. That makes that flight a lot less stressful. It makes it a lot less, the children are asleep. So if you're on a plane with a lot of children, they're sleeping because it's overnight instead of during the day. And everyone is just snoring, basically. You hear so many people snoring when you take that 10 o'clock flight compared to everyone's kind of irritable at the 10 a.m. flight because they want to get up moving around. And if you ever took a 10 a.m. flight or early morning flight on one of these 12 to 14 hour trips, you'll notice a lot of people are just standing up, walking up and down the aisles because their body wants to move. But if you take that 9, 10, 11, 12, that late night flight, they turn them lights off and everyone's sleeping, you will reach the Philippines quicker than you would believe. Now, let me give you another tip with that. Go ahead, before you go, or when you get there, go to United States Embassy website. It'll be a link in there for you to be able to email and sign up at the Manila Embassy. What that'll do is any type of emergency that may change or go on with this COVID, they will send an email to you. We was there for 76 days. I only received like maybe 1 or 2 emails a week, and they both was important information. But not only that, if anything happens like legal wise, they're able to put you in contact with an attorney that basically represents American citizens. So they kind of already pre-screen these attorneys. Now, I want to share with you one more thing that I believe is a good tip before I go ahead and turn it over and my wife will start giving you some tips of her own. Now, take with you clean, unripped, unstained money to exchange. Now, when you go to exchange your money at Western Unions, these mom and pop exchange businesses, at some of the grocery stores, even the banks, there are certain dollars or certain things that they won't accept in American currency. Now, we went there with $100 bills. There were some of our $100 bills they wouldn't accept, and I brought basically some $20 bills, 3 examples of these $20 bills that I know they wouldn't accept there. So if you're going to take some money to exchange, please go through, make sure all your money, your currency does not have these flaws, because they will not take them. If you look at this first $20 bill here, if you can see it, just the way that it has that bend right there and right in the middle of the face, they will not accept it. They was like, hey, there's a mark in the face. They won't accept that bend there. So make sure your money, it needs to be smooth. We took $100 bills.
Crisp.
It needs to be crisp. That's right. It needs to be crisp. Here's another one. If you look at this one here, you can see where right there it just has an ink stain. That little ink stain right there had our $100 bills, our $20 bills, our $10 bills refused in the Philippines. Even at the banks, they would not take it because it has this little ink stain that's on it. That's the second. The third, you can take one like this, and if you see this one, let's see if I can point it out. See if I can find where it's at first. Let's see if I can find where it's at first. And it's right, this little rip. Can you see that little rip right there? Yes. If it has a little rip on it, they will not take that money. They won't take it. We came back with $100 bills that basically we spent in America with no problem, but they were not taking the Philippines. And oh yeah, one more thing. When you go to some of the mom and pop When you see just a sign that says money exchange, if you go to like a grocery store and they have a money exchange up front, they will not take, on the majority, they will not take the old $100 bills. They will only accept the newest looking $100 bills. But make sure those new looking $100 bills are the new looking $20 bills that you take with you. There are no ink stains on it like I showed you. There are no deep rips in the middle, or deep folds that is, and then there's no rips on the money at all. So that was pretty important when we was taking money over there to exchange for currency, for Filipino peso.
And clean.
So, okay.
If you send ahead a balikbayan boxes, any stuff that you think that you needed when you're in the Philippines, that it's better to send ahead. In the airport, they had to weigh your luggage. They had to inspect it.
Let me give you an example about that. We went to the Philippines, and of course, on an international flight, your baggage, your luggage is free. So we had 2 big suitcases and 2 smaller suitcases that could have been carry-on, and then she had a backpack, I had a backpack. We don't like to carry the extra carry-on, a smaller suitcase. We check those under. International flight, they went all the way. So from here in Arkansas all the way to Cebu, it just went on the international flight. But when we actually went from Cebu to Butuan, which is about a 45-minute flight, we were charged for our bags, which we didn't know that there would be a bag fee. We knew we could take so many bags, but we didn't know that there would be a bag fee. The last time I flew in the Philippines, and I traveled from Manila to Surigao, Cebu to Surigao, I was not charged a bag fee. This time, we were charged for 3 bags, so we took one as a carry-on, 2,000 pesos for 2 of the bags each, which is about 42 American dollars, and we was charged like 4,000, I believe, 300 pesos for one of our bigger bags because of the weight. Now, all together, the price of that was 185 US dollars for us to take those 3 bags from Cebu to Butuan. Now, the thing about that, our round trip ticket from Cebu to Butuan, Butuan back to Cebu, wasn't even $185. I questioned this. I asked them multiple times, why is the baggage fee so high? But it went by the weight. Now, all of our bags was under the international weight. But when we got there, that was the price. One of the bags really wasn't even ours. We was taking merchandise to the Philippines for friends that had family that was living in those areas. And of course, we didn't complain about it. We'll do it again if they asked us. We just didn't know, and we were surprised about it. Also, on the way back, our international flight, we wasn't charged. But when we landed in Los Angeles, LAX, and we took American Airlines from Los Angeles to Dallas, then Dallas back to Arkansas, they were charging at LAX to check our bags $30 per bag. So of course, I just took the 2 biggest bags, checked them. I carried the rest of the bags. But that was a $30 fee per bag that we weren't expecting. The reason is, I didn't pay when I traveled before. I don't know if it's something recent, the way that these the luggage prices are there, but before, I didn't pay fees on the plane. They would allow you so many free luggage when you buy your ticket. But so that's why
They have a lot of extra charges now.
Yes, I think they're doing some extra charges to kind of make up for some of the flights being halfway empty, or 75%. But when we overseas, a lot of those flights was about halfway. Oh, when we got into America and we went to LAX to Dallas, that plane was full. That plane, matter of fact, there was 12 people on standby. that plane was full. Every seat had someone sitting in it. So that's why when you're going to the Philippines, if there's something you figure you're going to take, you're going to get there, it may just be a little cheaper to pay the $80, $100, $120 to take you a big Balikbayan box. And if you haven't seen, we have a video on Balikbayan box. Take that, pre-ship the things over there to you instead of putting it into an extra suitcase you may want to carry, that you may have to be like us with the one suitcase itself that was about 4,300 pesos. That in American money was over $100. Anything else you have that you wanted to share? I think I had like one more tip to share with you. But that's it with you? Okay. My last tip really is, I don't know how you prefer, but I would suggest about a month before you decide to fly to build up your immune system. The reason I say this is it's not like here in America. Once you hit and you get on one of those international planes or you get there, you have to wear that mask and you have to keep that mask on. You have to wear, when you're in the Philippines and you're in them airports, you have to wear the mask and the face shield. You have to keep them on. The thing is, in the Philippines, they have police officers and security, airport security personnel, that their main job is just to walk around and make sure everyone mask is covering their nose and mouth, plus their face shield is down. So if you think about that, as we were coming back in when we were there, that's like a whole day or a day and a half that you breathing out of that mask and that face shield, so you kind of breathing it. And a lot of people have different reaction of breathing in that face mask. I developed, not going there, but coming back, I had a couple of cold sores, and it's just because I could not take that mask off. I was changing my mask every couple of hours, but I couldn't take it off and breathe basically fresh air. You're breathing in your own toxins. And so even when you sleep on the plane, the 12-hour flight, they will allow you to take it off while you're eating and drinking. Any other time, those stewardess, they are great. They're on that plane making sure that that mask is covering your nose and mouth, and you have that face shield down. So I would just say, hey, try to build up your immune system as you travel over there. And it's not because that other people around you are going to be getting sick. It's just that you're basically going to be breathing in your own toxins. So, and we have a couple other more videos coming up. Please watch those videos, subscribe and like and share. Do you have anything else you want to say before we say goodbye?
Nothing.
My name is Jonathan.
I am Galen.
Okay, goodbye everyone.
Thank you.